Welcome to Bridgemere Show Gardens. This is episode 3 of Step by Step Gardening with me, David Domoney. Welcome to the beautiful Bridgemere Show Gardens. And in this episode, we're diving into the very heart of summer gardening. From glorious roses to the tricks of the trades that professionals use and how you can make the most of watering at home. The thing about choosing a rose is that you're spoilt for choice. If you go to a garden centre, there are hundreds of roses there, many of different types. Let me help you, step by step, identify the different types of roses so you can make the best choice for your own garden. I can't think of a better plant to talk about on a hot summer's day than the rose. It's beautiful, delicate swirls of petals, all joining together. The oil that's taken from the flower forms the basis for most perfumes. And you can eat the flower too. The magic of the rose goes back for years and years. It's a symbol of love on Valentine's Day. And the variety of different colours, types, climbers, ground covers, shrubs, bushes, and a whole host of others. It is an incredibly versatile plant. Adding a rose in the garden really brings a great amount of joy. Let's start by explaining what bush roses are. Now, there are a few different types. The first one is the traditional bush rose, which this one is here. You can buy it bare root or root wrap during the autumn, or buy them in containers almost all year round. Now, it's always best to choose your roses from a credible rose grower. That way you know you're going to get the best and it'll perform best when it's in the soil. It's a beautiful plant, not just for its flowers, but also for its lovely foliage, stems and thorns. But the thorns on the rose aren't actual thorns. They're known as prickles, because a thorn is an elongated branch or a point that's grown from the stem, whereas the thorns or prickles on the outside of the rose is formed from the outer skin of the stem, which is why you can peel them off. Now, if you're buying a bush rose, there are two distinct types. Single flowering varieties, otherwise known as HT roses, which means there's one flower on the end of a singular stem, as this variety is here. It's called My Valentine, and you can see it there, it says hybrid tea. So if you buy a hybrid tea, you get a single stem with a single bloom on the top. If you were to buy a floribunda, or otherwise known as a cluster flowering rose, take a look. You've got one flower there and loads more buds. So generally floribundas are slightly smaller flowers because there's quite a few flowers on the end, but generally they're a little bit more fragrant too. Not the case with all of them. There are some exceptions to every rule, but that's really the difference in choice. A single flowering rose, a hybrid tea, as a bush, or a cluster flowering rose, a floribunda, is the other choice. Now, these bush roses are perpetual flowerers, which means providing you keep deadheading them, new blooms will continue to come throughout the late spring, early summer, and even into autumn, depending on the weather, of course. There are so many different types and varieties of rose about. There are over 30,000 name roses, and the shape of the flower is very different. Now look at this little single flowering variety here as well. It's a real treat. This particular variety here is called Stronger Together. It's another one of the charity roses where money is given from the roses to very good causes. But for the flower shape itself makes it very easy for pollinators to get in and grab the pollen, where a lot of the closed cup varieties of rose aren't as easy. So these single flowering ones are really good for the wildlife in the garden. But there are many different shapes. There are doubles and double flowers. Just take a look at these here. So when you go to choose the roses, you will be spoilt for choice. This one on the end here is a different category from bush roses. This particular variety is a shrub rose, and there are different categories of shrub rose. There are modern roses, English roses, and both of these are varieties that grow in the garden that don't need as much maintenance. But with the modern and the English roses, they're perpetually flowering. They keep flowering time in and time out. But you can get hold of the really old English garden roses. Now they will flower just once, just one flush of flower, which is why it's really important to research the roses when you're choosing the type, the height, the flower shape, and of course the flowering time as well. So bush roses and shrub roses are all great for inside a border. But what if you wanted something to climb? Now there is of course this iconic image, not of bush roses, but of climbing roses. You just think about it, a thatched cottage somewhere in the heart of the countryside, lovely sunny day, an arch as you walk into the garden area with beautiful fragrant roses around it, and then roses growing on the side of the cottage as well. And that's what climbing roses do. They need a little bit of support, bamboo canes, a bit of trellis work, or even wires to tie onto, and the roses will grow up and can be trained in a variety of different shapes on walls or on fences. Now this is special anniversary here. It is incredibly fragrant, absolutely beautiful, and you can clearly see that it's a climber. It's written on the label, and of course these little supports up here are a bit of a giveaway. But you don't always have to have flowers that are traditional rose shape. There are many different types as we're discovering. This is a lovely single flowering rose here named Peter's Persica. It's named after a friend of mine that passed away recently, Peter Seabrook, who did an awful lot for the horticultural industry, and it's just a gorgeous climbing rose. But what if you wanted something to grow a little bit more wild? Well, climbing roses are perpetual flowerers, always best to check the label. So you would deadhead and lightly prune to shape of the climbing roses, but the ramblers are something completely different. Generally a little bit more petite in the shape of its leaf and the shape of its flower and the size of its stem. So it's a little bit more delicate in its shape, but this flower here is absolutely gorgeous. Now this one's called Open Arms. And as you can see, it's just growing out already. So if you've got an arbor, a gazebo, or an area where you want a rambling effect of a rose climbing over, ramblers are the right choice for you. But many of them are only single flowering time. So whereas some climbers here will perpetually flower, you deadhead, they keep flowering, some of the ramblers have a tendency just to have one flush of flowers and then it stops. You've also got miniatures and patio roses too. And take a look at these. So very dainty, small flower, little leaves, and you buy them to put in the garden at the front of borders that are slightly lower down so you can tier the effect of the roses in your garden. But they also lend themselves pretty well to be grown in tubs and containers. So patio roses and miniatures are pretty good. And while we're talking about them, I just want to demystify something, because this was for sale in the outside plant area, and this one in a plastic sleeve was sold in the pot plant department. So what is the real difference between these two? Is it a house plant or is it an outside plant? Well, it is an outside plant, although some of the miniatures are forced on, so you can see that the foliage is very soft, whether the foliage here is a little tougher. So these are forced on to have as houseplants on the windowsill. You have to be very, very careful with the watering of these. Never let them sit in water, never let them dry out. And sometimes you're successful when it's finished flowering indoors by planting it outside afterwards. Personally, I would see this as the definite choice for your patio or your border, and this more as an occasional houseplant cross longer lasting cut flower on a windowsill. But there is yet another type. Because we've had climbers and bushes, these ones here are ground cover. So there's certain areas on banks that you might see as you're going into large shopping centres or airports where there's a whole bank of flowering roses, and these rose carpet varieties are some of them. So there again, different shapes, different size flowers. There is a rose for every purpose in your garden. One final different shape of a rose that you can use in your garden is what we call a standard rose. It's almost like a little miniature rose tree. You can get ones that are bush that just grow as a lollipop, or you can even get weeping ones that cascade down. Roses are so very flexible. The beauty of the rose really adds a touch of class in any garden. Plant me one flower in the garden and wish it be a rose, the petals filled with fragrance, a blessing for the nose. Plant one flower in the garden and make it be for love, the beauty of the rose, a blessing from above. The first garden you see when you enter Bridgemere Show Gardens is the Cottage Garden, a heavenly garden combining the beauty of summer flowers with the bountiful harvests of its grow your own area. It's a winning combination, and I mean that in more ways than one. Recipient of many RHS awards at the 1988 Chelsea Flower Show, this garden won a gold medal, Best Show Garden category trophy, and the award of Best Exhibit, then brick by brick. Plant by plant, this winning garden was transported back and lovingly restored in Bridgemere Show Gardens. Over the last 37 years, thousands upon thousands of visitors find an emotional connection with this garden's beauty and personality. And it's not just the visitors either. I met up with Sam, a member of the gardening team who curates the gardens here. I get a feeling this happens to be your favourite garden, is that right?
It is, yes.
I've seen you coming in, deadheading, watering. This is the first garden you come to as you come into Bridgemere as well. Why is it your favourite?
I just love the style of cottage gardens,
Yeah.
all the old style planting and the little knickknacks that you can add to it, and it's just like oldie worldy.
It is. It's got it's a personality to it as well. But the cottage gardens can have slightly different looks to each other, and some of it's planting choice.
Yes.
What have you chosen here to make this quite unique?
So I've gone for quite old style perennials, so like the liatris, the eupatorium, the lythrum, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And of course, because of the purple colour, it attracts a lot of the pollinators because they can see ultraviolet light. And
Yes.
It is absolutely full of bees and hoverflies and so many butterflies.
Yes, we get quite a wide range of butterflies now. We had the elephant hawk moth as well, which is quite
Really?
rare.
Yeah.
So we've had that a few times.
What is your favourite flower here, really?
I quite like Verbena bonarensis because it's such a long flowering plant and it gives you a lot of height as well.
Big favourite with the pollinators too,
It is,
isn't
the
it?
bees are on it now.
It's never empty, is it?
It isn't, no.
And there's a combination in between the cottage and the grow your own. That's it. That's what, when I walk past and I'm hearing people and visitors that come, they just love the combination that some you can eat and some it feels like a real garden, I suppose.
Yes, it does, yeah. People love it. And it was originally built 1988 for Chelsea Garden.
But it wasn't. But it wasn't new. It had another purpose, didn't it?
It did. It was a pig building, yeah. What they used to keep pigs in originally.
Really?
Yeah. So it was built here originally. Then it was taken down, each brick numbered by number, rebuilt at Chelsea, where it won the Wilkinson Sword Award and Gold and Best in Show.
So when you talk to visitors that come round, what are their favourite bits other than the house?
There's quite a lot of favourite plants they have. and all like the knickknacks and things, because I tend to collect little old things to put in it as well.
Point out some of your favourite knickknacks.
So a recent one is the little hamper basket down there with the geraniums.
Very
in.
nice.
And then like the tin bath along there.
Yes.
With the Nemesia in.
Now the beehive just here isn't a real bee, it's a stunt beehive, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So behind the cottage, the public can't see it unfortunately, but we've got 2 working hives. So in one hive we've got the English bees, in the other hive we've got Italian bees.
Well, thank you, Sam. Thanks for the bit of an insight there.
Okay.
So when anybody visits, they now know some secrets. This used to be a pig shed.
Yeah.
There are bees hidden around the back that they see in the gardens that are around.
Yeah.
And to keep an eye out for your knickknacks
Yes.
that keep arriving in different parts of the garden. Now I'm off to the other side of this cottage garden to the grow your own element, which Bernard lovingly tends. This is a lovely part of the cottage garden. It almost seems like a tale of 2 gardens. You've got the ornamental cottage on that side and then here, and it fits with the cottage garden theme. In quite a small space, you're growing quite a diverse range of vegetable plants and fruit as well.
Yeah. No, it's, most of the varieties we've got here are fairly small, so anyone's only got a small space, it'll work in all of them.
Hold on a second.
Don't ask. That is yours.
Last episode, I was doing beans up there, and the packet disappeared.
They've just gone 4 foot high since you last saw them.
They have.
You can see the bees have been, because
yeah, you've got some beans. There's some beans already at the bottom.
They're starting to form, yeah.
It's a lovely looking plant.
If I go back to my days of showing,
Yeah.
when you grow your run of beans,
Yeah.
you use roofing laths. Because it's actually a fact, if you use the thicker stake to grow them up, you get bigger, stronger beans.
Good. All the secrets here.
Yeah, all the secrets are coming out.
What else have you got along here as well?
They got the broad beans.
Yep.
A lot of people tell me they've got no room for broad beans, but that's a variety called the Sutton, which is a very short growing one. Well, a little girl coming here with her mum the other day, and she was explaining to me that these were the lucky beans.
Lucky beans.
Because they grow in a little fleece coat.
They do. If you look just on the inside of that, it's like cotton wool, isn't
you can eat them. They're as sweet they are.
Peas, beans, and you've got carrots over the far end.
Well, this is
and spuds all in one bed.
This is a second early called Kestrel. I bet I can find you one. I'm lucky.
That's quite close to the surface there.
Yeah, they're starting to push up because of the size of them. Well, the thing is with Kestrel, it used to be a show bench variety because of the beautiful markings with the purple eyes.
That is nice.
Nice eating as well.
That is a very firm.
And the other good thing with the Kestrel, put it as a second early. If you don't use them all, they will actually roll over to a main crop almost.
Well, that's good, and stay in the soil so you can crop them a little bit later.
So you haven't got to worry about them going over.
And what are you doing with the rhubarb now? Because rhubarb obviously get a lot of red stems earlier on.
Yeah, it's not
this time of year. You're really sort of letting the energy go back into the crown.
We keep pulling the dead leaves off and cutting back anything that's.
Yeah, just for the strength of it. Now over the front, you'll be harvesting these a little bit later, is the onions, and they're pretty impressive now. But I'm going to put you to a challenge then. When are you planning to harvest these?
They end of September into October.
Okay. So in October,
Stop sunny, and they don't get a lot of wind on. It'll probably be a bit later, probably October, middle of October.
Okay, so round about our October episode, I want to have a look to see how big. So give me a gesture on how big you think yours is going to be.
If they aren't all over £2, there'll be something wrong. You can't be talking.
So about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to hold you to that a little bit later.
My claim many years was to try and grow one over £5, but
really?
I only ever got to 4.5. I never managed a £5.
Yeah. And behind you, the apples are looking really good.
Yeah, some have pruned them about a fortnight ago, so they're touch wood and a bit of rain. There should be some really nice apples this October.
Only seemed like moments ago when they were in full blossom.
I think last time you were here, they were full of blossom and colour.
Yeah. So Bernard, what we'd like to do is every episode take a look at a really special tree that's here in Bridgemere to inspire people for trees for their own garden. Now, you've got a particular favourite for this month?
The month, yeah, so it's in full flower, looking stunning. The Catalpa bigonoides, the purple one. Ooh. We have got the Aurea, which is the gold one, but that one's in full flower. It's particularly nice at the moment.
And whereabouts is it?
It's down that way.
Now let's shine a spotlight on our tree of the month. a real performer here at Bridgemere. It's lovely, both in structure, shape and flower power. So this is Bernard's favourite tree of the month, and oh, lovely fragrance to the flowers. Quite an unusual fragrance of the foliage, but the flowers are lovely. And as I'm looking up through here, there's bees all the way around. Take a look at the detail. You wouldn't have thought a big garden tree has such intricate flowers. These little flute-like mouths that open up to white with a dotting of purple with a little sulphur heart into it as well. Dark purple buds, and of course this one's purpurea, so the young foliage comes out purple and then turns to green. But like many catalpas, it is as broad as it is tall, so it brings good shade into the garden. Now this marvellous specimen has been in the garden for a while because Bernard's seen this flower every year, and I can see why he sees it so beautiful. Now you can get a dwarfer version of catalpa. This is Catalpa bigonoides nana, nana meaning small. I say small, it's still a big tree, but small for a catalpa. This particular one will grow about 2 meters tall by about 2 meters wide. You'll get the flower, but it's green foliage. But what it will bring to a garden, if you've got a very exposed spot and you're looking for a bit of shade, the catalpa certainly delivers, because it's width as well as height, and the flowers have got a heavenly scent. Blue Diamond's Bridgemere Show Gardens is proud to be a part of the RHS Partner Garden of the Year competition. This year's theme is joy, celebrating the happiness that gardens bring. If Bridgemere has brightened your day, cast your vote. UK voters could win a £100 RHS gift voucher. Voting closes on midday the 29th of September. This next part of the show, I'm going to give you some practical know-how on hints, tips and techniques of mastering an incredibly important part of gardening, and that's watering. Now, what do plants use water for? And it's much more than you think. For a start off, it's the transport system for the plant. The movement of water through the plant, the leaves, the stem and the root is key to moving certain components around, especially food for the plant, taking it from one area into another just where the plant needs it. Now, the second involvement with water is for photosynthesis, because water, carbon dioxide and light are key components to help the plant produce glucose, which is a food that it uses to grow. The next is helping the plant keep cool. Just like us, we sweat through our pores when it's really hot to help us cool down. Plants sweat as well through their stomata, their version of pores, through a process called transpiration. And finally, it helps the plant keep upright, or turgid as we call it, because the cells of the plant fill with water and keep them upright. When it starts to lose its water, the plant starts to wilt. So water helps move things around as the transport system of the plant, key component for food, helps move food around, help keeps the plant cool and help keeps it upright. That's why watering's so very important when you're tending a garden full of plants. Plants that are very thirsty are not big trees that have been in the garden for a long period of time or shrubs that are established. Mainly, they're little new plants that you've put into tubs or into containers, because tubs and containers mean that the roots of the plant can't go into the soil to find extra water when it's dry. You're effectively the custodian of the hanging basket, of the pot, the wall manger, because it's not connected to the rest of the soil, it's just what's in the pot. And likewise, any plants that you put into the border for the first time, they take at least 3 months to get out and get established during the growing season, so make sure they're well watered. Other plants that need a help with a bit of drink is if they're producing lots of energy with flowers or even with fruit. Things like tomatoes, there's no secret, they need a lot of water to swell and produce the tomatoes themselves, or even other fruit, blueberries, or even if you're producing crops for leaves, things like lettuce and anything that's actively producing or flowering at the time, that needs an extra bit of water. But there are plants that are a little bit more tolerant of not having as much water. So if you're away a lot, you can choose some plants that have special abilities to be able to hold on to water within their leaves. Like these house leeks here, thick and fleshy leaves, all with stores of water. Or there are some plants with sort of like glossy waxy coating to the leaf, like this lovely Bridgemere here, and that has an ability to hold on to a bit of water in its foliage and its roots. Or choose plants that come from warmer climes, like the Mediterranean. Lovely lavender has a tendency to grow a little bit easier in tubs and containers and borders. Likewise thyme and sage and many other herbs, because they come from that area that's used to not having as much water. Or choose plants with very small surface area on the leaf to stop the loss of moisture through foliage, almost the needle-like leaves on a rosemary. Or plants with hairy leaves or silver leaves that reflect a little bit of the light so they don't warm up so much and need to cool down through transpiration. So if you're choosing plants for your garden that you want to be low maintenance on watering, you can do that easily by researching them before you buy them. But anything that's producing flower, producing fruit, or in a basket or a tub, they need an extra bit of help. Watering at the right time, well, that makes all the difference. If you water at midday, much of the water can evaporate before it even reaches the roots. In the evening, lingering moisture invites slugs, snails, and the increased chance of fungal disease. If you soak well in the morning, it will penetrate deep into the soil, perfect for the roots, and give your plants the best possible start for the day. Here's another great tip. Never be too assured that the rain has done the job of watering for you. You know, a lot of plants that you put a lot of effort into, beautiful flowering plants, or anything that's producing crops like tomatoes or currants or blueberries and the like, you want to make sure there's plenty of water. And thinking the rain has done the job, it's not always the case. We think there's a lot of water, but when you dip your finger into the soil, you realise it's just the top centimetre that's wet and underneath it's dry. A good tip, this is what I do. Just get hold of a mug. You can buy these from the charity shop, they work pretty well. If you want to do the proper thing, you can buy a proper measured rain gauge that gives you an idea of how much water has fallen during the night or during the day on a heavy rainfall. So by being aware and not reliant on the rain, it makes sure that you're in complete control of the water you give your plants. And here's another professional tip. Eaves of the house. It causes a rain shadow. And so if you've got a hanging basket or wall mangers or tubs either side the front door and it rains, it doesn't often get in any water because the eaves of the house that are coming out are stopping that rain getting onto those containers. It's very similar to if you're out in the shops, you're walking in the high street and it starts to rain, you haven't got an umbrella, you automatically stand with the back towards the glass entrance to the shop because the eaves of the building stop you getting wet. That's exactly what's happening in your garden. So never be too trusting of the rain, and you can test it yourself by using a mug. Now, there are times where a plant has significantly dried out and is in need of some desperate help. Now, you can't really wait for the optimum time to water because you've got to water the plant now. And in the professional growing industry, when we've got plants like that, they get what's known as a dunking. They get submersed into water to completely hydrate the compost and over the foliage at the same time to get ready to revive it. Here we go. The best water to use is natural rainwater harvested by a water butt. It has less additives than the type of water you get from the mains. In a future episode, I'll be showing you how to set one of these up. There we are. I agitated it slightly to help it release a few more bubbles. I'm putting that there. I'm going to do the rhubarb as well. Works with big containers too. There we are, and let it drain. Now I'm going to come back to these plants in a short while and just take a look at them now to a before and after. As the plant takes in the water, re-turgidizes the cells, that means swells the cells back up to make it upright. Now moving up one in the progression of technology from dunking in a bucket is a simple and humble watering can. This is a 5 litre, you can get 10 litres as well. Comes with an attachment on the end, and this is called a rose. Apparently it looks similar to a rose, they say. Doesn't look too much like it to me. Now the rose enables you to do a spray of water, something a little bit more subtle. It fans out the water rather than pours it in one particular area, and is pretty good for more sensitive plants, seedlings and the like, as it disperses the water in a fan or a shower effect. If you were to take it off, you have a flute of water coming almost like a jug. And this enables you to put the water, rather than spreading out around the plant, directly where you need it. There we go. Now the next move up from a watering can, of course, is the hose, which is taking water from the mains. This stops you having to go back and refill it every time. Now you can buy different attachments for the end of the hose. This is one of the price entry ones. You only just get a spray and a jet, and to turn it on and off isn't that easy. So if you're watering a lot of containers, you're wasting water as you're going from one to another. Best bit of advice is spend a little bit more and get hold of a trigger gun, which enables you to water onto the next one, onto the next one, so you're not wasting that water as you're going from one to the other. With the gun, you also get an attachment at the end that changes the way the nozzle operates. Now for me, the best way is the shower. There is a jet that might be pretty good for cleaning out the guttering, but it's not the type of thing you want to be using on your garden, because it blasts away the soil and exposes the roots, which is no good for the plant at all. The shower is a pretty good one to get around the roots, saturate them, let it soak in, go on to the next plant, let that soak in, back to this one again, because what we're trying to do is add layers of water that penetrates and soaks down deep, so the roots get a proper anchoring in the ground to search for water the deeper it goes. If I was just to do little surface sprays, the roots have a tendency just to stay at the surface, and of course it evaporates, so a good soak really makes a difference. It's best to aim to soak 15 to 30 centimetres of the soil where most roots grow. And if you've got plants during a drought, you really want to be giving them 10 litres per watering session for any really big large shrub. That's probably the size of an average watering can. Now to reach up high when you're watering, it's really worth getting an extendable lance. It enables you to lift up and water straight in. You know, if you're filling a cup or a glass with anything, you're pouring straight down. You're not pouring from the side, which I would be doing if I had a gun. This way, it's applying water just at the top. And again, good saturation. Wait till you see it starting to drip down. Water some other things, let them soak in too. Then come back to the big one again. If you don't want to go to the extent of buying a lance, you can buy a pulley. It enables you to fix it at the top and lower and raise your hanging basket. But of course, when it's down, you can really water, and that's the secret, is watering straight down to make sure all the soil volume inside that basket is properly hydrated. It was only a matter of hours ago when I dunked this wilting rhubarb in the water, and just look how it's come back, taken up the moisture, refirmed up the cells to keep it upright. But the big amazing one is the New Guinea impat. I kid you not, that is the same plant. It has just drawn up the water and refilled its cells so it looks really good. The power of water, the transport system within the plant, a source or an ingredient for food for the plant, a means of cooling the plant down and keeping it upright. If you get the watering system right and you're watering effectively and on a regular basis, all the plants in your garden should flourish. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and tell us in the comments below why you liked it. And also if you have any ideas for any future episode content. Also, please subscribe to this channel. And if you turn on your notifications, we'll let you know when a new episode comes about. Remember, gardening is done best step by step. So enjoy your garden.